Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Brickfields. I'm Kath Brazier and we're here at the home of Plymouth Albion for the first of our Inter-Services Rugby weekends. Today sees the Royal Navy up against the Royal Air Force. Two shades of blue will battle it out here in the southwest. But for anyone who remembers this fixture from last year, there's one very crucial difference: the weather. Let's take a look back at the mud bath of 2023.
The loose ball getting stuck in the mud, and Hanley looks up to the sky and kicks for the corner. Oh, it's been stolen and collected, and oh my word, the Navy! How about that? Majestic stuff. Oh, it's taken quickly, and maybe the RAF away, and that is some excellent play. Wow, caught them blind, caught them napping. Well, in the previous 95 occasions this match has been played as part of the Inter-Services Championships, there has only been 6 draws, and we may be on course for a very rare 7th.
And it's a draw.
Well, what a way to finish. That is full time here from Brickfields in Plymouth.
So things ended all even between these two teams in 2023, and what an attritional game that was. But of course the Navy did then go on to become champions with victory over the Army at Twickenham. So let's hear a little insight into how the reigning champions have been preparing to defend their title.
It's always an exciting time of the season. It's the business end of the season.
The big spectacle that is the IS and Army Navy at Twickenham as well, and it's one of those things you always want to be involved in.
Yeah, I can't wait to get stuck into the RAF.
We know what we have to do, but at the same time we're still going to do our research. You know, we're going to watch footage and we're going to make a game plan around what we think we can beat individually the RAF and the Army on.
I think there's always self-induced pressure that we put on ourselves throughout the season. A lot of big games that we come up against, and obviously winning last year, we know that the Army and the RAF are going to be coming for us.
So I came through the Under-23 setup, did the Inter-Services with that, and then after that I went and did the Sevens, so got picked up for Wales, so I ended up playing for Wales in the Sevens, and did a little bit of a GB as well.
I'm just assuming, because you're a Sevens player, that you're exciting and you're fast. Is that what you're going to bring to the 15 side?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I try and get my hands on the ball as much as I can. Yeah, hopefully I'll try and get a few tries. Well, that'd be nice.
Now, following that draw against the senior service, the Air Force men were taken apart by the Army at Gloucester last year, losing 48-17. So no doubt they'll be looking to prove a point this year.
We're raising the intensity in training, and we're going to be absolutely firing and ready to go when it comes to both of the games. We started in Jan, and then we came into a 9-week solid block, which has been brilliant and has really galvanised the team. And most recently against our fixtures against Rams and Cambridge, all of a sudden things are starting to click in place, and it's starting to build really nicely, and it's getting exciting.
You've got obviously some mainstays, some men who are going to be absolutely at the forefront of your selection, including obviously Captain Alex.
Yeah, it's great to have Stanners back in this season. He's a real leader, which is great for us after him missing out last year, but it's a good addition. Obviously we've lost a couple last season through leaving the Air Force, and a couple have come back in, so it's good to keep that continuity from the spine of the team that we were looking at 2-3 years ago, and get the two boys back involved.
Still yet to get my first in-service try, so I'm hoping for it this year, but we shall see.
I mean, what a build-up you've had, because I mean, some of them have been sensational.
Yeah, there has. I'm 10 this year, but like I said, I'm still hoping to get more.
Well, that's what we all want, of course, and certainly the RAF supporters will be after. And you've got an important role to play if you are selected, of course,
yeah.
And that's you can't take that for granted, can you?
No, 100%. Last year, I made my debut against the Navy, but didn't get too many minutes. Then came on against the Army and proving myself, proved my worth, and came on and looked dangerous from the off.
It's a beautiful day here in Plymouth, and this of course is the Navy's stomping ground, but we all know that anything can happen in inter-services rugby. To take you through the game is our stellar commentary team of Simon Ward and Mal Roberts.
Thank you, Kath. Yes, good afternoon everybody. Welcome to Brickfields, the home of Plymouth Albion, down here in the southwest corner of the country, where we are delighted to finally get the IS 2024 underway. I'm Simon Ward, alongside me Mal Roberts. Mal, a year ago this was a glue pot of a pitch. It looks a very different staging for today, right?
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely perfect. 12 months ago there was hardly any grass on the field. Today it's looking tremendous, and the weather conditions are perfect for a great game of rugby.
Obviously, with the Royal Navy as defending champions, that's where the onus is. Does that release the shackles then on the RAF?
I think it does. I'm looking at sort of like both sides' preparations coming into this, and both have been performing really well and seem to have a really good team ethos and strung together some great performances. So, it was a really difficult game to call. I think, if you look at the strengths within the Navy side and counteract that with the strengths within the RAF side, with Josh coming back in to galvanise the RAF, I think, it's anyone's game. It's whoever gets it right and manages the conditions right on the day.
Well, let's take a look at the two lineups, starting with the home side, the Royal Navy. This is the lineup that Dave Pascoe has picked. Jordan Gott in at fly half as ever. Will Wrigglesford in as his feed, just his second inter-services cap. Outside him, well, Seta Ramakita is back in the midfield. There was a pull-up, if you will, in training when Kane Tierborg did his hamstring on Thursday. So a slight adjustment there in the dark blue. Craig Duncan as ever at fullback. Up front, well, Sam Matavesi steps in at the number 2 shirt as before. Josh Williams and Ed Pascoe with a big deal to do in that engine room. The RAF lineup, well, similarly, the feed, Harry Davis is making his debut in inter-services, so both number 9s will have a certain amount of pressure on themselves this afternoon. Jordan Oatley will be at fly half. He himself hasn't had that much experience in this competition. Williams and Lamont in midfield, big pressure on them, but Prescott and Crowley, the two wingers, along with Toby Evans at fullback, is a real place of power, you would think, that Justin Coleman is looking to exploit in that back three. Up front, well, as Mal's mentioned, the return of Josh McNally into the light blue shirt is big in every sense of the word. Big pressure on Alex Stanley. Of course, the captain moves him back to the number 6, Connor Morris and Zach Taylor, completing that breakaway trio for the RAF this afternoon. It's going to be a very interesting tactical mix as well when we see how the teams are going to play. Talking to both coaches at the hotels yesterday, both of them were inferring that they wanted to play out wide and play fast. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they resort to that.
Yeah, and I think, you can see their preparation games. A lot of tries have been scored out wide, and they're really expansive game plans that seem to be both adopting this year. But if you rewind back to last year's inter-services, it became a bit of a battle up front where it was almost 10-man rugby. So I think the conditions will allow for that expansive game, but it's whether both sides have got the confidence under the pressures of inter-services to deliver that.
Of course, we look at the lead-up matches to this, but in many ways, it's difficult to gauge how relevant they are when, A, you don't know the personnel that have been available to the two services here, and of course what the opposition has been like, you can never tell. So this really is the first proper indicator of what these teams can produce.
Yeah, and I think the first 5 to 10 minutes is crucial in any inter-service match. You can have the best preparation throughout the season, as you alluded to, but when it comes to inter-services, it's about how you start and how you put your game plan onto the opposition, and if they allow you to do that as well. So that first 5 to 10 minutes is going to be crucial.
Right, before play gets underway, of course, we will have the formalities headed by the national anthem.
Today's VIPs to be presented to the teams are Vice Admiral Andrew Burns,
Presentation party stepping up, consisting of the President of the Royal Navy Rugby Union, Vice Admiral Andrew Burns, alongside him the President of the RAF Rugby Union, Air Marshal Harvey Smith, and Gary Mackay, the MD of Roden Schwartz UK, the match sponsors for this game this afternoon. The players just aware that they stand still for too much longer, they could get sunburned this afternoon, but it's a bit early for that, I guess.
Yeah, this is a real crucial stage for me. As a coach, there's nothing more that you can do. You've completed your warm-ups. It's now the players. They're going through the formalities as you have to do, but it's remaining focused, and it's reminding yourself constantly when you stood there of what your primary role is, what you want to do, how you want to start the game, and how you're going to impact that game.
I've always thought this must be the hardest of things to actually take as a player when you've spent the last 2 hours getting yourselves ready to match point to boiling temperature, and then you've got to smile, shake hands and do the pleasantries.
You're like a cold spring at this point. You just want to get going.
Well, the light blues being introduced to the presentation party. There's Kieran Prescott. What a impact they're hoping that the Liga and Union wing can have on this one. McNally and Manning. Been there, seen it, done it. Got most of the T-shirts. Don't forget, we want to hear from you wherever you are in the world. On social media, we have got our guru just to my left, who is about to leap on her laptop. Kath will make sure that we get all the messages from you, so please make sure you join in the conversation through the course of this afternoon for the men's and the women's game, of course. Women's game will kick off at 4 o'clock UK time. This is a different pressure on those in dark blue, isn't it? Because having won that trophy last year at Twickenham, is it a different loading that they have to expect this year?
Yeah, it will be, but you know, Dave's an experienced coach, and Dave as a player has won as well, so he'll know what it takes to kind of probably keep it away from the boys, the added pressures. But you know, the boys will definitely be thinking about it, and you know, unfortunately, that's the pressures that come with winning into services, and you either step up and accept that and embrace it, or not. And you know, Dave's really experienced, and Dave will no doubt have the boys prepped, ready to go.
So that's it done. Now they can get ready for the adrenaline surge.
Assisted by Lieutenant Colonel Ian Farrell and Captain Martin Bentley, all from the Army Rugby Union.
As the officials get themselves ready, Major Ian Kye, the man on the whistle from the British Army, as both of his assistant referees, Martin Bentley and Ian Farrell, are as well, of course. It's going to be Jordan Oatley to get proceedings underway. The track looks good. It's going to take a stud, as they say.
Yeah, no, definitely does, and super excited. You know, the first job was obviously from the Navy's perspective to catch the kick-off and to set about and play in the right areas and get their game plan going. And obviously the RAF want to disrupt as early as possible.
So we're ready to start the 2024 Inter-Services Rugby Championship. 3 big games ahead. Here's the first one. There's Ratu Vakalu Takali Toots, as he's known throughout the services sphere, thankfully. Will Rigglesford. The sun is going to be a factor, as will be the wind that's blowing left to right behind the Navy backs. As Ryan Crowley goes a-wandering for the first time. He has that dynamic in his running play that can open up the tightest of defences.
Yeah, no, he's quite abrasive, he's low centre of gravity, and he's got great footwork and great acceleration.
He's been playing at 13 quite a bit, hasn't he, for club and for service. You surprised to see him on the wing?
I am a little bit, because I liked him at 13. I've seen some of the games that he's played at 13 this year, and he's really dynamic. I think he offers something different at centre, some of the lines that he hits, but his adaptability in defence as well to chase back and corner flag, I think has been really good this year. So, yeah, but you know, Justin's clearly thought about it, and he just wants to get his best players on the park, and I think that's meant sort of like moving Ryan to the wing.
Yeah, Will Lamont and Mark Williams, the centre pairing for the Light Blues. This afternoon, the take at the back from Josh Williams. Been plying his trade with the Cornish Pirates this season, just down the road. Got cut back from Seti the Machete, and cutting through is exactly what he does. That light blue line, seeding. Oh, Rigglesford thought he was on the journey to the first try there, couldn't take the ball, and it allows the RAF to work their way back away from danger.
You know, that was really good scrambling defence then, but also I think you can see the intent from the Navy from the get-go, you know, really good driving maul that eventually got stopped after about 12-15 metres. So, you know, yeah, I think they show their intent early doors. I think the RAF need to stop that at source.
And we talk about the physicality of the game, but Josh McNally's presence within that sort of scenario is going to be critical for the RAF if they're going to just hold up the Navy swing, should we say.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you've seen some of the RAF boys then, some of the forwards were standing off, and I think, that should identify and should make sure that they all go in and try to stop that drive at source.
McNally not a line-out presence in this first RAF line-out. It's going to go long. Looking to see who's going to pick up the scraps. It's Will Lamont. Ball comes back Navy's side though. Rugglesford sees a big gap. Good take, safe take from Ryan Crowley. Crowley's also got that personality and that almost communication skills, if you will, to in defence to make sure that everybody's in the right place. Maybe that'll work better for the boys in light blue this afternoon as well.
Yeah, and that comes with experience, playing National League rugby and being that operator at that level week in, week out. And Ryan's always been a really good communicator, and I think with maturity has come that level of acceptance to be a leader on the park as well. And that communication's key to that.
Crowley, one of the 6 RAF players who play for Henley Hawks. Of course, the geographical location suiting many of the guys in their various sites. Matavesi brings Jesse Lowe, a local boy in every sense of the word. Little pass inside to Jared Hayler. Quick presentation. Well, Fakalo Takali just trying to get that ball out the back to release 2 players in the narrow channel, but not quite going to hand there.
No, and I think, you can identify early doors, the Navy being adaptable, didn't sort of like catch, come down, then offload and sent Sam round the corner. So the variations good early doors and probing and testing. But I think my concern, if I was Justin Coleman, I would definitely look to slow the ruck ball down, because at the minute the speed of the ruck ball that the Navy are getting, I think, is narrowing up the RAF defence, allowing them to get on the outside relatively easy.
Yeah, that's where the work of Conor Morris, the open side in light blue, is going to be critical, just to try and be a barometer of the match, even without the ball in his hand.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like we said, it's a case of getting into the breakdown and just slowing the ball down ever so slightly. Even if it's 1 or 2 seconds, it gives your defence the opportunity to realign, but more importantly, get that width in defence as well.
And of course, with Matavesi wearing 2, which he normally does, of course, for his team Northampton Saints, and indeed for Fiji as well, it adds a different dynamic into the back row open phase play. And you remember he's worn 6, 7 and 8 for the Royal Navy before. It'll be interesting to see whether that changes the dynamic that Dave Pascoe will try to utilise.
Yeah, I think, if you look at Sam over the last sort of like 2 to 3 seasons, we've sort of like at Northampton and stuff, he's got really, really fit, and he's really match sharp, and it's his influence around the park, even at sort of like Premiership level when he carries. He's dynamic, he's explosive, he always gets over the gain line, and I think, him being tied up, as, so to speak, at hooker, I don't think will have a negative impact on that game. It doesn't at the Premiership, so I don't think it will here, and I think with his levels of fitness now, his impact on the game later on will be so influential as well.
Yeah, as my boys would say, he's stacked, and he looks it, doesn't he? He really does look lean and mean, as does that man, Jared Hayler.
Yeah.
Captain, once again, trying to... Oh, they're going to get the call anyways. They were trying to get up into enemy territory. A little bit of handbags to get things going, just to raise the temperature a bit. Jonathan Taylor not taking a backward step there.
And I know, unfortunately, then, Josh McNally gave away the penalty for a perceived high tackle, but, you can see his influence defensively as well. The hit that he put in and drove the Navy back so they're not on the front foot every single time, I think is crucial. Clearly just needs to adjust his tackle height, but the influence that he will have on the game, and hopefully sort of like raise the players around him, and if he leads by example, they will follow.
And it's those little things, Mal, isn't it, that could make such a difference, not only to the scoreboard, but just to the mindsets of the team to get those little percentage wins.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you need to slow the Navy ruck ball down quicker. Well, if you hold them up in the tackle for that split second longer, it's going to delay and give you an opportunity to get your defensive organisation in place.
Alex Hayton being pinged there for getting across the line out into the face of Josh Williams. Jared Hayler inviting his fly half to take the first pot at the posts.
Yeah, it's really important inter-service rugby. I'm pleased not stating the obvious, but every time you have a visit into 22, you need to come away with points. It's crucial to keep that scoreboard ticking over, and it will just sort of like calm everyone down ever so slightly.
Jordan got now 24 points in that last inter-services game at Twickenham. Gets 3 on the board here at Brickfields as the scoreboard operator gets his work underway.
AET got.
The RAF yet to really threaten or get anywhere near the Navy 22. That's a good leap from Crowley once again. Ball back to James Roberts. Davis looks at the narrow channel, but good awareness there from Kristen Dobson. Moved out onto the wing in the absence of Tierborg. Was originally slated to start at outside centre. Hayler to Matavesi. Oh, the pass not really helping the flow, but it's still there. Ben Chambers is kicking long, and that's just too long. That's going to end up in Tool Point.
That's unfortunate by Chamber. Great thought process. There was clearly space at the back, but unfortunately, the bounce of a rugby ball, which is unpredictable. But you've seen the influence straight away, of the sort of like round the corner ball with Jared and his footwork in midfield, just offsetting the defence, then back to Sam, and then we go wide.
And it is those two, isn't it, Matavesi and Hayler, that can make such a difference because of that explosive nature that they have within their game to open defensive lines.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm not too sure how much Sam's been involved in Navy camps, but knowing Sam, he's been involved quite a bit, I would imagine, and not played a great deal of games, but also has that sort of like ability to link up with Jared, and that shows the quality of the two players, that Sam can come in and pick up and have a positive influence on the game.
And a positive influence on the pack as well. That RAF doing well to actually put that ball out. Toby Evans trying to feed his winger, but Crowley can't take that one. Evans, who scored the first try in the game at the StoneX, 6 weeks ago against the Armée de l'Air. A mazy 25-metre run then, but unfortunately his pass unable to be picked up by his winger. Looks like, is that Alex Stanley back there who's taken a knock down in back play? Yeah. Suddenly the RAF opening up that back line, and like I said, the back three has got potential, hasn't it?
Yeah, the Navy got quite narrow and defensively was looking in and unfortunately, got a little bit too narrow and managed to get on the outside. And I think, Toby then on the outside, it was a nice sliding line on the outside, got on the outside and unfortunately, him and kind of got too flat and then the pass went into touch. I think, from my perspective, Ryan just needed to keep a little bit more depth on the outside and then generate and increase the pace onto the ball, and we would have seen the first try of the game. But massive positive thing there is the RAF's ability and the confidence to move the ball from deep.
Right, we've had some messages coming in, and our social media guru, Kath Brazier, is on the case. Kath, who are we talking to?
Guru's very kind, thank you, Simon. What's brilliant is we've had a lot of people from all over the world, which is why I love this Forces audience. WC from a chilly Kabul says, come on the Navy. We've had Paul Terry Rudroom, who's on the sunny Isle of Skye. He also says, come on the Navy. We've got Mark Wilson-Jones from the Falklands, and it should be a cracking match, and he wants the Light Blues to win. And we knew that weather would be a talking point. Sean Butler says, good luck to the RAF. It's sunnier there than it is in Hanoi right now.
Oh, really?
So there you go. We're sunnier than Vietnam, people.
You know where you should be. I have to say, it's just great to see the pitch holding up, because let's face it, last year it was like wild swimming in cold custard here, and it really impacted on the game so much, didn't it, Kath?
As an early entry into wild swimming in custard, thank you very much, Simon. I'll leave you to it.
Wigglesford out to Gott. Again, throwing those missed passes before coming around the corner, but Jesse Lowe unable to hold on to that pass, and there's a few unforced errors in the handling, which is stymieing both sides in the way that they're trying to get some tempo into their attacking game. Davis, McNally, one of the bigger inside centres that you'll see in World Rugby.
I think with the handling errors, it's just those unforced ones. The lads just need to give themselves a little bit of time and space on the ball. You know, we say it's lovely conditions down here, but there is that breeze playing from left to right, and you know, I think the wind is having a bit of an effect on the passes. It seems to be holding up or moving the ball slightly in the air. So just a couple of yards deeper, give yourself a little bit more time and space. But you know, the massive positive is both teams are trying to play some rugby, and they're not afraid to move the ball.
And playing that attacking rugby from inside the middle third, not having to wait until they're approaching the 22, both of them eager to fire things up.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there will come a point and potentially a message that will come on from the sideline that don't overplay sometimes. You know, there's that ability that you can overplay. So just play the corners and play territory at times.
Pick up from Zach Taylor, another of the Henley Hawks boys. Around the corner comes Dave Manning. Dave Manning, well, what a player. I mean, you must have seen him so frequently from the sidelines and on the pitch. He's a remarkable character.
Yeah, with Dave, you know, he's 100% committed. You never get anything other than 100% with Dave, and you know, he's been a talisman for the RAF rugby for a number of years, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing up or oh, sorry, I had to stop there. That was almost a great kick by Jordan.
Almost, but not quite. Both kickers actually testing out. It's like flying a kite, isn't it? Just testing out how the wind is going to impact kicking from hand.
Yeah, and you know, in the warm-ups, as a goal kicker myself, you know, and touch kick and everything else, you should be doing that pre-game. So when you come to the match, you know, that they won't be particularly happy with that. That's quite criminal. You know, an opportunity for first proper set piece in opposition's 22 has just gone begging because bit off a little bit too much.
Manning against Bubba Watson on this near side. Manning earning his 23rd inter-services cap this afternoon. Watson is 14th. And they will have faced each other many a time before. Probably played together for UCAF as well. Big hit coming in from Ramakita, but the release is there. Here comes Prescott. Prescott and Crowley combining on this near side. For the first time in this match, the RAF into what the coaches call the red zone, the Navy 22. Mark Williams is down in back play, so the RAF down a man at the moment. McNally thinks about the side step, thinks better of it. Trying to come round the back door, Lamont. Worked out by Kristen Dobson, two fairly sizable physical specimens playing out wide there. Oh. The chat coming, I think, from Ryan Crowley, was it? Not to the liking of Ian Kai, the referee. Mentioned that French game, and Ian Kai was on the whistle for that one at the Stonex, so the RAF will know what he likes and doesn't like.
Yeah, I'll be particularly honest, I didn't hear what was said clearly. I know we've got the ref link, but yeah, no, clearly didn't hear what was said. But you know, that was really promising again by the RAF. the Navy defence getting really narrow, and the RAF having the ability to go out the back and pick off the defenders at ease, if I'm honest. And you know, the outside break was great, and Ryan identified that we was coming towards touch, stepped back in and regrouped and went again. They then went back into their phase and structure, and they looked really, really good. I think, you know, although the negativity at the end with conceding the penalty, but from me, the messages that would be coming on would be just stick to it, stick to the structure, stick to the plan, because it's clearly working, and at some point, you know, we will get our just rewards, but just keep trying, keep plugging away.
Thankfully, Mark Williams seems to be fit and able to return. Took a big hit in the contact there early on in that last RAF attack. Now back into the mix. A man of many parts, I think. I've got a feeling he was 15 in this fixture last year, and he's played in both midfield lines and on the wing for the RAF.
Yeah, no, he seems a really good, strong, abrasive runner at 13. And just for me then, you know, just the soft skills to go with it as well, to then put the ball out the back.
Another kick from Jordan Gott that doesn't find its target and allows Oatley to clear. Taking a little bit of a geographical advantage from it in any case.
Yeah, I think Jordan tried a outside of the foot banana kick there and clearly got it slightly wrong. It didn't make touch. I just think if it was me, it'd be 10 metres, make sure.
Gott comes round to feed out to Dobson. Dobson into the 22. He's got his fullback with him, but he doesn't need it. Kristen Dobson celebrates his second inter-services cap with the first try of IS 2024. And the Navy pushing their lead up on the scoreboard. Great attack, working like a T.
Yeah, no, really good. You know, it's a simple run around the midfield, and yeah, just went out the back and yeah, went on the outside and scored. And you know, I think Mark Williams got his shoulders turned in ever so slightly and presented that opportunity just outside of the 13 channel. So, you know, just need to have that ability to let those dummy runners go through and then pick up the runners at the back.
Yeah, it was the arcing run from Dobson that just seemed to find a gap that maybe they weren't expecting.
Yeah, but you know, seen the opportunity, obviously clearly seen the shoulders turning in, went on the outside of Mark Williams and you know, clearly showed a clean set of heels and got in the corner. It's a great finish.
Got unable to find the target on a difficult conversion, but a big moment for Kristen Dobson. Got deployed on inter-services last year, so wasn't available to play. It's been a big season. Got promoted with Harrogate up in the north of Yorkshire there, and now he's got his name on the scoreboard in this inter-services starter. First quarter done, and the Navy with that 8-point lead. Ed Pascoe, another one who seems to have been around for a long time. We're talking about Dave Manning. There's the Navy version.
Yeah, no, great secure catch off a kick-off, and you know, once you've just scored, you need to consolidate that score, and there's, you know, it's coach's nightmare if you don't.
Hayler breaking up over halfway, looking to get supporting runners, but shows good strength, good leg drive. Prescott bringing him down, but here come the Navy again. The ricochet working for the RAF there. Yeah, the break from the senior service captain there, showing good pace. That's why he's wearing the number 8 shirt, because Dave Pascoe thinks he can do such a great job from the base and in the loose. And once again, Hayler adding to the attacking options for those in dark blue. Here comes another one, that's Dobson. Trying to bring Ramakita in, the little pass inside. Tackles dropping off, and it's Jesse Lowe, born in Plymouth, brought up in Brixham, back playing for Plymouth Albion, and a very popular scorer in these parts.
Yeah, really good. You know, from my perspective, slightly disappointing. The RAF defence there of over chasing. Dobson going wide and just pulled the defence across, and then dropped obviously Ramakita back on the inside, and just, you know, the RAF obviously over chased and presented that opportunity, and it is a great finish.
Yeah, there were some tired bodies trying to plug holes there that maybe they shouldn't have been in terms of positional tackles. Got with a simple 9-iron to make sure the Navy keep the scoreboard ticking, and 2 tries inside 3 minutes has added a little different complexion to this one, Mal.
Yeah, because, I hope it doesn't have a detrimental effect on the RAF and their approach to the game and their sort of like attacking prowess, where they'll go back and try to change the game plan. I think they just stick with it and they will get their just rewards. And I think, up in the stand, it is really breezy from left to right, and in the second half it'll be slightly easier to play that territory.
Breezy, I wish we'd taken John Knighton's advice and all 3 levels of thermals on, because it is quite taters up here. He's not listening. It's all right, John, I'm just insulting you, don't worry, because you're warm and we're not. John will be on the mic for the women's game at 4 o'clock. Hope you will join us wherever you are in the world. Make sure you join us for that one on Forces News, YouTube, BFBS TV, or indeed on Rugby Pass this season. A warm welcome to all those watching through that particular portal. Davis out to Oatley. Williams fully recovered and trying to open the door for Crowley, but no way through there, and it's snaffled by Hayler, and here come the Navy once again. Well, I hesitate to use the analogy the wind's in their sails, but it really does feel like the confidence is really inside the senior service at the moment as Matavesi steps inside. He's got support left and right, but can't quite find Jesse Lowe. Good turnover.
If the RAF go now at the back, they've got to overlap on the outside.
Ball's heading that way, but no, Oatley decides he's going to try and send his team up. Duncan anticipating that kick, and the sweeping left boot of Craig Duncan. That could go too long. That could come back to shoot the Navy in the foot.
And it certainly has.
That is a long, long way back. All of what, 80 metres?
Yeah, and then when that turnover ball there, I think that the RAF need to stick with their positive mindset in terms of moving the ball. If you're 2 passes, you're outside then the narrow Navy defence on a turnover, and I think if they have the confidence to do that, keep the ball in hand and not necessarily kick it away, especially in this first half when they're into the breeze.
It's almost a state with a quarter of an hour left until the turnaround, of not looking at the scoreboard but just keeping going through the processes and hoping that they can get some points on the board before the break. Because I remember last year, what was it, 13-3 I think last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that.
At half time.
The RAF have got that self-belief, and they have this season, because they've had some great performance leading into this. It's just getting a foothold in the game. 3 points, 6 points, 9 points. You then keep the scoreboard ticking over.
Davis into that midfield. Lamont trying the show and go. I don't think it was read by the Navy defenders. Round the corner comes Zach Taylor, and this is where Justin Coleman will want his team to be pragmatic, to just work through their attacking phases that they've set up. Alex Hayton. The pullback, Crowley again coming off the wing, wearing 14 but playing on the left wing this afternoon. Fakala Takali coming up quickly to snaffle the momentum in that and forcing the RAF to go from a little bit further back. Advantage call is there for the light blues. Manning. But you just see, I mean, much as the RAF have kept the ball, Mal, they've gone back 15, 20 metres maybe from their initial position.
Yeah, but I think, from that, sometimes you've got to concede to then get your just rewards. And, we've gone through double phases there, and we've then the RAF has now got a penalty, and they get their first opportunity at a set piece in the Navy's 22. And I think if you have patience and you believe in your system, you get your just rewards.
And Josh McNally just calling his forward pack to him to make sure everybody knows what the call is here. Just going to make sure they execute and set up opportunity for that back line. That's see, Kieran Prescott scored 4 tries in that Rams game, so you know that he has the cutting edge that the light blues may require. Of course, a Union and Liga, as many of the guys are. Just a brief hiatus as we get set. Looks like Jonathan Taylor just having a bit of treatment. Scored the first try, of course, against the Army in last season's inter-services.
If you have a VW sat, registration, Yankee Echo 69, Victor Sierra Lima.
I think we've seen today already the intent from both sides to move the ball, and both back lines have unpicked each other. So it's going to be a great contest moving forward. I just think the RAF are making some really good inroads outside of that 13 channel. For me, it's really important to do the hard work inside, narrow up the defensive sort of like width of the Navy, and then have that ability to go wide. And with the back three that the RAF have got, they've got that confidence to move the ball and the pace and the finishing prowess to get themselves back into this game.
They just need a bit of reward for all that endeavour. As you say, it's coming. Throwing deep to McNally, and the drive comes on around the Bath man. This is good progress from the RAF pack, and they've got the advantage call as well.
They just need to stick with it. They're really tight up front. People in front of the ball just need to keep working harder. Keep working harder.
Big opportunity, and at last the RAF break the bagel. Just looking to see it. Might be McNally himself who's gone over. Well, maybe not. Let me just say no. I think that's going to Connor Morris.
I think it was Josh McNally.
Right, well, the consensus is it may be the Bath boy that's done it. What a return. It's first time in light blue since 2019, pre-pandemic, and indeed. And his first try of the year. Well, I think McNally and Morris are going to have to share 2.5 points each.
I think the most important thing is the RAF got that attacking opportunity in the Navy 22 and converted it, and there's a great driving ball. People in front of the ball was working really, really hard, and whoever scored it was it'll take the just rewards of the full 8 working extremely hard.
And Jordan Oatley makes sure it's the full return for that opening score. So with nearly half an hour on the clock, the RAF on the board. And an important score for the psyche of this game as well. Mark Williams scootling back to get the clearance. Big 10 minutes now, Mal. I mean, we always coaches talk about the 5 minutes at either side of half time, but 10 minutes going into the break could be very interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's really good then to consolidate the score, and Mark Williams making his way back, taking a great catch over his shoulder and making a really good touch find into the breeze.
Again, the take from Williams. Hayter coming in to support. Hayter and Williams were in opposition to each other last week. Hayter playing for Heartbreak and Williams playing for Cornish Pirates. I think Cornish Pirates won with the last kick of the game, as Jared Hayler sheepishly revealed to me, but now of course teammates this afternoon.
That was a great line by Jesse Lowe then, pass slightly. I think he was coming back and having a conversation with Jordan Gott then. I think he thinks the pass was slightly low or a little bit too hard, and unfortunately it's a unforced error.
Yeah, good to see Lowe back on the park after those ankle operations. I think this may well be his last inter-services championship before he leaves the services. And of course, playing on familiar territory here at Brickfields. High call against Jordan Gott. 29 yesterday, the Belgian fly half. Born in Soignies in Belgium, raised in Fareham down on the south coast. Good crowd here, enjoying fun in the sun so far. Not that we can see it. Oh, well, we can see it, we can't feel it.
Being now sort of like retired from the army and being a civvy now living in the West Country, we've not had a great deal of sun over the last few months.
No, it's all been liquid sunshine, as they say, isn't it? Good hands from Williams. That was a quick transference in the face of on-rushing defenders. Good pick up from Hayton. On the break. No way through for Manning, but the presentation is good. Now the RAF beginning to get through the gears a little bit quicker. Getting a little more headway with every carry. As fatigue begins to kick into defensive bodies. Morris confirmed as the try scorer. Lamont again throwing wide into that channel to try and get that back three operating. Again, going to explore on that far side. Crowley, good leg drive.
There's great footwork there. From Ryan then when looking at it, great footwork and creates that opportunity. And sometimes when it's that quick, and like I said, if the RAF can speed up their ruck ball, then the Navy are quite narrow defensively, and I think there's the opportunities getting the outside and people over chasing against people like Ryan coming at pace with great footwork. You're always going to be asked some serious questions.
Which is exactly what the RAF are trying to manipulate, isn't it? Just to get those sort of situations for Crowley and Prescott to actually show what their footwork's about and open the doors.
Yeah, and here we are again where we were 3 minutes ago. So if the RAF can convert this with sort of like 6 minutes to half time, it's a great position kind of to be in.
The wind just playing havoc with that line out. You just get the feeling that at some point they've got to go shorter in order to secure better ball. As I say, the wind coming from the Navy backs at the moment from the sea, which is out to our left.
We look at that as an example, and I get it from a coaching perspective. You want bat ball because there's a great attacking platform. Whether it's a catch and drive, and you're then aiming in towards the softer side of the defence and not back into the front five. But a good secure two ball, and then you drive on, and then you reassess and you go again and go for your phases. It's risk and reward.
Yeah, more pragmatic approach in these conditions may be the better option to make sure that you can keep hold of the pill. What's been your take on the scrum? An area of expertise, obviously, for you, former fullback, but what you've seen, I mean, there seems to be relative parity. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great contest. And, I've seen sort of like Dave and Bubba going up against each other and a really, really good contest. And, there's not a great deal of movement there whatsoever. Now, I don't know whether there's a gentleman's agreement, but I want to thought so into services level. You always want to try to get one over your opposite number.
It's all in the front row union book. Oh. Here's a sudden breakaway. Great work from Prescott there, just catching the defenders a little bit flat-footed.
Yeah, you see the explosive strength of Ryan there, but bouncing off forwards to make those breaks.
Oatley forced into the kick and with the breeze as well. Oh, it looked for one moment like Ben Chambers was going to have a trot to the line.
That's the confidence. I think there was deemed a seatbelt tackle, and there was a free ball, so there's an opportunity. So why don't you roll the dice? Why don't you put the crossfield kick, and if it comes off, you're in the corner, and it's try time celebrations. If not, you come back and you've got the penalty. We then play into the 22 and we go again.
into the final, 4 minutes of this first half. RAF in no particular rush. Alex Stanley just pointing where he's going to ask his fly half to put the ball. As last year, the wind is a factor in this contest, though contrary to last year, we don't have the custard bowl that we had, thankfully. And it's a good track to run on. I was out on it before as the teams were warming up, and both sets of players were more than happy with the way that the track looked. Hayton takes well, and now the RAF pack trying to set up the line-out drive, just held by their opposition right now.
It's almost as if they heard us, go 2 ball, secure 2 ball, with that opportunity.
Here we go, Matavesi on the break. Crowley gets his man down. The intricacies of the RAF attack not working there, and almost offering the senior service a freebie before half-time.
You see the experience of Sam there. It hit one of the Navy players on the back, so clearly not an infringement or anything. Sam picked up straight on the ball, picked up and made 30-40 metres, and unfortunately couldn't get the offload. But I just think it's, from a RAF perspective, just don't go through the motions, don't give the pass. If it's not on, just take it into contact.
Don't force it.
Yeah, regroup and go again, and go back through the phases. Have patience.
Matavesi, who came into camp on Sunday, had some big games, of course, with the Saints on recent weeks, both in Europe and domestically. He has had a week with the Navy boys, the French week as it was, and I think one of the weeks during the Six Nations when the clubs had downtime, he was able to get into camp. So he's had a bit of contact, and of course Rhys Williams has been a bit in and out this season with the Cornish Pirates.
That's a positive sort of like impact that the experienced Premiership players have when they come into squads. And when fortunate enough with Semesi Roccadragini and Stephen Arlago, and when those boys come into camp, they lift not only the spirits and the playing ability of that group, but also the attitude and approach to training and the professionalism they bring with it, and they have a massive positive impact on the group as a whole.
Final minute of this first half. The RAF halfbacks trying to open things up again for Crowley. He's been a go-to man in open phase play, doesn't find the way through there, and the Navy are going to try and make something of this with the captain, J-Dog as he's known. Hayler not able to get through there though. Good hands from Williams to get the ball on to Watson. Wigglesford. McNally working hard to just staunch that particular opportunity, but here it comes now, low, and Ramakita. Big play here in the match, only halfway through, but just get the feeling a score now would be hugely beneficial for the senior service if they could just increase this 8-point lead as it stands.
And for me, this sustained period of pressure now defensively for the RAF has come about from the loose kick from Ryan to try to go over the top. It's sometimes you needed to be a little bit more pragmatic.
Dobson onto Matavesi. Matavesi shows his footballing skills, and there is the value of Sam Matavesi, an individual virtuoso score from the Fijian international, and a big score for the Royal Navy before half-time.
And like I said, that all come from pressure from a loose kick from Ryan and trying to kick over the top instead of just being a little bit more pragmatic, retaining ball, going back through the phases and just seeing the half out, because, sort of like 15-7 clearly is a lot better than potentially 22-7. 1 or 2 converted scores. Just a little bit of pragmatism is needed. Retain ball. Don't get too frustrated and anxious to do something every single time you get the ball.
Matavesi, of course, an honorary Cornishman, is that right? I mean, I know he was brought up just over the other side, as it were.
Yeah, no, he's a local Camborne boy like myself. So yeah, know Sam really well, and his brother Josh and Joel really well. So yeah, I'm not sure whether that was a little bit of Camborne flair or Fijian flair at the end there to obviously score that try.
Jordan Gott, that's a good strike from the Navy 10, and that's a big 7 points on the scoreboard for the Navy, albeit of course the RAF will be turning around with the wind at their backs for the second 40.
Yeah, just so that adds a whole different complexity to the halftime talk now. You know, 3 scores down.
Well, play continues, so as ever, the referee, the sole arbiter of time and law.
I know we've had a couple of injuries in that first half, so I think the clock on the scoreboard has been a rolling clock. So
showing at 42 minutes at the moment, but as we work our way towards half-time, it'll be very interesting with your coach's hat on, to see what Messrs Pascoe and Coleman are going to be saying to their charges in the hutches.
Yeah, if I was Dave at half-time, it'd be situation no change. Obviously playing into the elements is just look after that ball a little bit more.
Evans and Crowley. Oh, the forwards working it. I'm not quite sure how, and almost but not quite for Ben Mallett, the Navy 7. Another, well, local, Falmouth. That's relatively local, isn't it?
Kind of local. You know, for me, that kind of summed up the first half a little bit there from an RAF's perspective, is trying to force the offload. Someone just needs to grab the ball, take it into contact, regroup, get your shape back and go again. You know, there was a lot of shoveling, and that could have been intercepted. It could have been another try just before half-time.
RAF put in on the Navy 10-metre line. Harry Davis has been playing on the wing in Rugby League for the RAF this season. Been working with Sean Perry as his scrum half tutor, so well, one of the best imparting knowledge onto the young scrum half. McNally keeps the ball alive. Manning looking for his winger. He wasn't that side, it was the other side. Lamont. Good work from the inside centre as the RAF load up on the right-hand side. Roberts.
Quick rock ball now, and they've got that edge. They've got a narrow edge.
No way through for Hayton. The little dab through from Prescott, not really working. Getting the accuracy off the boot from the winger, and it's allowed the Navy to take possession once again, albeit inside their own 22. Josh Williams and Ryan Crowley just exchanging email addresses. Well, Jesse Lowe thinks he's going to go and put the kettle on, but he's going to have to come back and rejoin the game because the ref said, no, not yet.
Yeah, we've seen again the RAF almost running out of patience and putting the boot to ball, and you know, it was almost like a nothing kick. It just control, just patience, rebuild and go again.
Well, here they go again, Lamont. Evans tries to cut back in. High tackle from Lowe is going to give them the penalty should they need it. Hands in there as well, and there's going to be a yellow card, I think. Yeah, saw the hands coming in. It was Toots, it was Vakalo Takali. Just thought he'd dab a finger in there and slow things down, but ref right on the case. So the Navy going to be down a man for the next 10.
And I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, but you know, that patience, control, you know, the RAF got real good structure there and was running with intent, got a gain line, and you know, the Navy infringed and they now find themselves down to 14 men, and just that little bit of pragmatic approach, patience, control, and back to structure.
So here is opportunity for those in light blue. Maybe I was a little premature in saying we were coming to the end of the first half, because 7 minutes later we're still playing. I don't have the match clock in front of me. Just working off the big screen as the big drive is set up by the RAF pack. Advantage call is there again. Trying to put numbers down the left channel, but in the end opening right. Lamont to Oatley. Nobody on his shoulder though. Another penalty call against the Navy inside their own 22.
This could be crucial, you know, for obviously the game's at a pivotal point now, and on a score for the RAF before half time sets up a whole different sort of like start to the second half. You know, you go in and on a score, then they're back in the game.
Another big moment, and we're still in the first half of this matchup.
Gains have determined in fine margins and key points throughout the game, and I think this is one of those key moments. If the RAF come away with a score, we're kind of game on second half.
Deja vu as the RAF set up the drive. Roberts in the steering wheel, and Roberts goes over, and a big moment in the match. The hooker finishes things off courtesy of his forward pals, and a big score for the RAF that they needed.
You know, that changes Justin's Coleman's team talk at half-time slightly. You know, for me, both tries from the RAF now, although we say about the prowess of the back three and their ability to break the line, both tries have come from up front with the catch and driving line out. So dynamic and so explosive, and you know, with the wind behind their backs in the second half, playing territory and getting in those key areas is going to make up for an interesting second half.
Certainly going to change the mindset, you would think, of both teams with that driving maul. Oatley 6 out of 7 in that game against the French counterparts, and drives it through. That's an impressive kick from the young fly half, and the referee's whistle does go to end that first 40. 22-14 the scoreboard reads. Mal Roberts, what have you made of that first 40?
Really impressive, both teams. You know, don't get me wrong, there was errors from both teams in that first half, but the thing that I liked was the endeavour that they still kept trying to play, identified and probing and finding weaknesses in each other and exploiting it at times. But yeah, no, the pleasing thing for me is the endeavour for both teams to try to play. I think they've set the stall out in that first 40 minutes for a great second half, and you know, I think the game was evenly in the balance.
It was interesting, wasn't it, with those 2 tries inside 3 minutes in the middle of that first half for the senior service, and it looked like it really pushed them into a dominant position at 15-0. But credit to the RAF, they responded to that and to Matavasi's try to hit back and make sure they're very much in this contest.
Yeah, and I think that now shows the mindset and the resilience within the RAF team now. And you know, Justin's done a fantastic job. Just created that mindset that it's okay. We just go again and we just find a way in which to get ourselves back into the game. And you know, every side's kept playing. I think we was at 47 minutes in the first half. I know there was a couple of injuries, but you know, it just proves that the RAF are here to play, and they think they've got the belief that they're going to win this game. And you know, from the Navy's perspective, they also think exactly the same. I think momentary lapse and a little bit of ill discipline at times has kept the RAF in it, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like to be a fly on the wall in both change rooms at half time.
Intriguing contest, certainly. The final 40 will be very much, well, we'll wait and see if the wind plays a factor as it did last year, but be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Now, of course, the British Army are not going to be in operation until a fortnight's time at Twickenham. The fixture diary a little bit different this year, so the Army-Navy game at Twickenham will be in a fortnight. They've had a warm-up game this week at Aldershot, and here is some evidence of the Army men against the Irish Defence Forces on Thursday night.
The Army were in fine form in their final fixture before facing the Royal Navy at Twickenham in the Inter-Services Championship. Welcoming the Irish Defence Force to Aldershot, the men in red dished out a 12-try demolition against the visitors. Imi Kwarawale scooting in after just a few minutes, setting the tone for the rampant Reds. Moments later, they doubled their account. This time, fly half Jack Johnson and solo Radiani Rover combined, and it was the fleet-footed fly half who dotted down for a second converted try. The Army continued to impress during the opening stages of the match. The Irish couldn't cope with the pace of Kwarawale, and the former Newcastle Falcons man sprinted half the length of the pitch to claim his second converted try of the contest. The one-way traffic was halted briefly as Luke Johnson put the Irishman on the board with a penalty. The respite from the rampaging Reds was only temporary. A surging Matt Dawson took his team within metres of the try line. The ball was quickly recycled, where eventually it was fed into the hands of Owen Davis to score. The destructive Dawson, who celebrated his 50th cap for Championship side Cambridge earlier in the campaign, turned provider yet again to set up Fijian 7-star solo Radiana Rover for the Army's 5th try. A free-scoring first half continued, this time at the other end. Aaron James bundling his way over for the Irish from close range. The Army backs, meanwhile, were back in the ascendancy yet again as the opening 40 minutes came to a close. Levi Roper danced in for his first try. Hot on the heels of that effort was another long-range run from Kwarawale. The Army will hope he remains fit in the build-up to their showdown with the senior service, the winger setting up another try for Welshman Davis. The first half came to a close with another try that launched from deep in Army territory. It was a score that was all down to the flair and confidence of the hosts' backline, with the ball passing through 9 sets of hands. Roper was hauled down yards short of the Irish line, but Mikey MacDonald kept the move alive, and Radiani Rover darted in to put the Army 54 points to 8 up at the break. The points continued to flow in the second half. Roper had claimed his second try before the galloping Gareth Smith added his name to the scoresheet with this sprint to the line. Plymouth Albion's Peter Ratukadru was on hand to score the Army's 11th try. He caught the inch-perfect kick pass from Johnson to canter behind the posts for another 5 points. Without question, the Army would have preferred a sterner test in their last pre-inter-services encounter, but the plus points include players looking to attack from all parts of the park. Davis rounded off the try scoring with his hat-trick, and the Army can head to their Cyprus training camp in positive mood.
Worst dresser? Do you know what? I'd actually say OB.
Nathaniel Tidjard-Jones.
Can I say Amy Cocaine? Like, she goes out in granddad slippers quite often.
Danica Wilmore, because she wears some awful shirts.
Craig Duncan, worst tasting players.
Harry Challoner, just for a stitch up.
Probably myself.
Definitely Ben Chambers, best dressed.
I'd probably go for Bex Folds, our second row.
Well, Amy Cockayne in her granddad slippers. I'm here for them.
I'll give it to Joe Parkin. I wouldn't tell him, but
I think Sarah Bonner, she's always got like a nice trench coat on, a bit like Gabby Logan vibes.
I'll go with myself. Horrendous.
Any go-to karaoke songs you got then?
Usually Meatloaf. Absolutely murder it.
Mikey.
So any songs that he butchers?
Yeah, all of them. Just everything he does. Everything he sings.
Toby Evans, he hasn't got a note in him.
Can I say Amy again? If you hear us belt out Adele, you'll see exactly what I mean.
I give JC that on the bus. He can deliver a good song.
JJ.
I don't know actually. I think we maybe have to have a little riff off and find out if we can work out who it is.
And I'll go with Bex Folds.
I would say Emma Tadman. She doesn't know what contact or non-contact is. Everything to her is contact.
Oh, Craig Duncan.
Danica, get him strapping. Like, literally that.
James Roberts can have that.
Owain Davis. Hands in pockets all day.
Catch every kick.
That is an almighty hit.
Every big tackle.
We go again and they're over.
Every scoring try.
Courtney Burslove, she cannot stop scoring.
Every unforgettable moment.
The 2024 Inter-Services Rugby Championship.
Everything in the Inter-Services garden is blooming red.
Live on Forces News, YouTube and BFBS.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a relief to be down pitch side here in a bit of sunshine. It's very windy up there. I don't want you to feel sorry for us because it's obviously a fantastic game of rugby and we enjoy doing the lives here. And I'm delighted to have a regular from our rugby over the years, any rugby. Charlie Maxwell is there, Lieutenant Colonel Charlie Maxwell. Charlie, obviously you stepped really away from military rugby now. You used to be DOR, of course, but your heart's still in it. You're still very much, on the periphery. You're going to be commentating on the women's game, and that's where we should start. The men are putting a brilliant display here, but the game last year was very close between the Royal Navy and the RAF, and that's a good starting point. What are you expecting from this afternoon's game?
Well, to be honest, Kath, looking at the weather, I think we're going to have a very different game this year.
Yeah.
Last year, the weather played an important factor, and there was almost a 16th man for one of the teams. You can argue which one. But essentially today, I think we've got glorious champagne rugby weather on the cards, and I'm really excited to watch the teams play. Both head coaches are happy with the weather. Had a quick chat with them. We'll see how it plays out. I've got my suspicions it will play to. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I think it will play to the light blue side.
Okay.
But let's see. They both need to come out of the blocks firing. But yeah, what glorious weather.
The weather prevented them from anyone firing really last year.
Yes.
But do you think it maybe played into the Navy's more style of rugby? I mean, the scoreline was only 7 points, and historically, the Navy have been the weaker of the teams. But you also are quite confident that they're going on leaps and bounds, and they'll make it one day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that all three teams are striving to move our game forward. Women's rugby and women's sport in general at the moment is really on fire, and their services rugby is no different. As I say, I'm excited to see the Navy play today. I hope to see a great display of women's rugby. There are 3 exciting games today, so please stay with ours. Clearly the Roses are playing Ireland at Twickenham, but I think the 2 kick-off times should allow actually people to watch both. The Navy, they are an up-and-coming tide. But they've been up and coming for a while.
And we talked a lot about Rose Dixon, and a lot of it stems from her and her sort of leadership as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So interestingly, I actually used to play rugby on the same pitch as Rose for Wasps. And interestingly today, a little side story, both captains of the 2 squads are both ex-Wasp players, which is fantastic for for that. But yeah, Rose and I used to play rugby together. She's an awesome leader, and I know that she brings her character to the game, and she really has made a difference to the Navy squad. They've come on leaps and bounds since she joined.
Yeah, they are going from strength to strength, and she's a massive part of that. And just finally, I know that the RAF don't have their internationals. They've got Caris, obviously, who's played for Wales before, but no Sarah Bonner, no Amy Cockayne. They wouldn't have done anyway because they would have been involved in games today.
Yes.
That doesn't make so much difference. John Wilding's got some fresh blood coming in.
He has. So speaking to both coaches before our chat, both teams have got new caps. There are 2 starting for the RAF. They're Tighthead and one of their locks. I'm desperately trying to remember their names. Emily and Tyler, I believe it is. And there's one on the bench for the Navy. So again, women's rugby, there's still new players coming through. I know that Ops will have affected both sides, and so you've got the best available today playing each other. But that's the same with services rugby all over.
And what's it like when you've been so heavily involved as director of rugby for so long, you know, at UCAF level, at Army level, to come along on a day like this and just kind of enjoy it? I know you've got your badge on there, but like...
I'm still representing, got the ARU badge. Can't
but to be
quite
able
let
to come
it go.
along and just enjoy it with your partner as well, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, I did actually think this year I'd be completely free of all duties, but it's not quite worked that way. But no, it's fantastic to be here, like you say, as a sort of non-partisan, really, and I'm excited to watch the game with fresh eyes.
As we're in the middle of the men's game here, do you want to put your hat in the ring for the game today and the inter-services as a whole?
Well, and actually, interestingly, this year it's the first time the RAF game against the Army is being last.
Yes.
So, as I said earlier, I've sort of put my hat on the side of the light blues today, and I do believe that game on the 11th of May up at Kingsholm will be for the championship, and that's really exciting. That's not happened before in the women's game, so I'm very excited for that. Clearly, we've also got Twickenham before that on the 4th of May, and I'm hoping that the Reds run away with it. However, it's great to see how far women's rugby's come in the services, and they really are now on an equal footing, and today's another demonstration of that in terms of the same pitch, the same coverage, same media, the posters and all of the coverage for the games previously have been actually demonstrable of an equal footing now, and it's great to see. We haven't always been in that space, but it's great that we are now there.
Well, Charlie, it's brilliant to speak to you again, and you highlighted a really good point there that, of course, this year in particular, they've made a real effort to bring all 3 weekends as one. So it's not all about the Army Navy, it's about all 3 weekends.
Yes.
Charlie Maxwell, we will hear from you later when you join John Knighton on commentary, but for now, we're going to go back to our men's commentators, Simon Ward and Mal Roberts.
Thanks, Kath. Well, welcome back to Brickfields, bathed as it is in beautiful spring sunshine. Here at the back of the stands, we're over the equator, and it's a bit of a different weather, but it has been a fantastic first half, Mal Roberts. Intriguing is the word I used at the end, and there's going to be very interesting to see if there's any changes made by the coaches, how they change it tactically, and of course personnel. How do you read it?
Yeah, and you know, team talk at half-time is obviously crucial, but you know, for me, I don't think both sides will change drastically how they're playing. I think the risk is with the RAF with the breeze behind their backs is that perhaps risk of overplaying, and what I mean by that is kicking too much and kicking into the corners, and you know, we've seen the Navy in the first half fell to that a couple of times by the ball going dead. So
and you've got young halfbacks in light blue.
Yeah, and you know, inexperienced, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've not got the rugby IQ in which to play in the right areas and play at the right times. You know, sometimes that inexperience, exuberance of youth is a good thing if it's harnessed correctly, especially with the likes of Josh McNally, which will galvanise them and lead them on the park. But, you know, from the Navy's perspective, I don't think they'll change drastically how they're playing. They seem to make inroads from an attacking sense. I think both sides just need to go back to basics a little bit, go back to a little bit of structure and try not to force the passes too much.
Well, here we go. Just 8 points between these two sides at the turnaround as Jordan Gott sends them into the RAF 22. And just to reiterate, a strong breeze blowing into the faces of the senior service in this second half, so it'll be interesting to see how that impacts both sides and the tactics that they want to employ. Harry Davis, the young Royal Scrum half, puts it up in the air Good take from Rigglesford, committing there. Really worked hard to make sure he wasn't going to drop that one, was he?
No, really brave in the air going up, and unfortunately, I think is that Toby? No, 22. Unfortunately, got his timing slightly wrong. And finds himself taking a 10-minute breather and obviously thinking through what he should have done differently.
Oh, how did Ryan Crowley keep that back? Oh, the touch judge flag goes off, but it was acrobatic work from the winger there to try and keep it in.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, it was deemed to cross the white line. So unfortunately, the Navy. Well, fortunately for the Navy, they found themselves in a great attacking position. A minute into the second half.
So Sam Morby's entrance into the game lasts a matter of seconds, and it's going to be 14 against 14, of course, at the moment, with Vakala Takali also on the naughty boys step as the pick up from Kai Beasley. Big opportunity early doors here for the senior service. RAF working hard to make sure the door is shut. Rigglesford having to do the dog and dig the ball out there. Slow ball. Matavesi pushes it on and over. Referee says held up.
Yeah, I think for me, when we look at the start of the second half, a thing that I would be frustrated with as a coach, the kick went extremely deep, not contested, is to put your foot on the ball straight away and send it to go 50, 60 metres down the park and almost, turn that into a massive positive for yourself and playing your opposition's half straight from the get-go. Instead, a couple of carries, not particularly great box kick, an infringement, someone in the bin, and now, the RAF find themselves with Jordan Gott in front of the post and almost a guaranteed 3 points.
Yeah, Gott, who's nabbed 3 of the 4 opportunities thus far. Be very surprised if he doesn't take this one. No problems at all.
Penalty to the Navy, a slide by number 10, Jordan Gott. Three minutes in and 25 late 40.
Yeah, that now pushes out to 2 converted scores, and
yep.
I think there's a great leadership decision there by Jared just to keep that scoreboard took in, but also to push it out to those 2 converted scores.
Be interesting to see whether the RAF can set up camp within the Navy 22, as was done to them in the first half. Rigglesford hangs one high. Toby Evans with plenty of time. Oatley does well. Takes his team up to halfway, pulled down by Ben Mallet. Mallet, of course, from a great rugby family. Dad John was a well-known prop back in the day for Bath. I think last I heard he was DOR at Millfield School. Not sure whether that's still the situation.
Yeah, no, he is. I seen John a couple of weeks ago down at St Ives. Yeah, his son was down there playing for a local team, Falmouth, and he was down there.
Josh Williams up against Prescott. An unfair physical challenge, you would think. Matavesi, good offload to Watson. There's the experience and the qualities of Sam Matavesi to keep the move alive.
I think Sam then could clearly see Josh McNally on his right hand side from his blind side coming in to try to put a hit in and identified that, and there was a great offload because then there was a hole created just outside of that.
McNally seems to have done some damage to at least 1 or 2 digits on his left hand. It's going to return with a penalty, another penalty for Gott now. This was a similar position to Oatley's conversion in that first half, and he managed to drive it through like a good golfer keeping it relatively low so it wasn't impacted by the strong breeze coming from the clubhouse end. Gott doesn't manage to replicate that.
No, fortunately for the RAF and unfortunately for the Navy, Jordan doesn't seem to have his kicking boots on today. Last year's Army Navy was obviously the point of difference with, I think, was it 23 points, and kicked
24,
24, pretty much kicked everything and controlled the game really well, scored a try, and just unfortunately for the Navy today, he seems to be just slightly off with his kicking boots.
Craig Duncan, haven't seen an awful lot of the rangy fullback. Been such a fixture in the senior service sides over the last few years. There's another fixture, Jared Hayler. Hayler gets the leg drive going to take his team up to the 22. Wrigglesford, little show and go, just trying to keep the fringe defenders interested. Oh, good work from the RAF defence as the Navy support staff just going off their feet.
From the Navy's back's perspective, then they were lined outside of Wrigglesford, and I think there would have been a slight frustration because they had some mismatches out wide, and I think that little snipe around the corner to keep them honest was probably not the right option at that time. I understand why, to keep them honest and narrow defensively, but they have mismatches out wide, and I think that potentially comes down to that little bit of inexperience into services. But apart from that, he's had a really good game.
As they say, you only learn about experience by doing it, and make a mistake once but don't make it twice. Roberts, the Merthyr Tydfil man, takes his team up towards halfway. There's Jordan Oatley again, looking for a good angle, and that was the angle you were talking about to me at half time, just working it down into this right hand corner.
Yeah, and played at Brickfields a couple of times years past. It's from left to right, from top left-hand corner to bottom right-hand corner. There's just a little slight slope, and if you hit the kick particularly well and it hits that slope and it goes nicely into that corner, and it then turns that little bit of potential pressure after a couple of phases by the RAF to then turn the Navy and then defend and hopefully force a turnover.
Williams at the tail but can't take clean in. It's Taylor who picks up the ricochet. The drive taken up by Hayton. A breakdown, an absolute mess there, and it's Hayler who picks up the scraps. Matavesi in at first receiver. Happy to do the hard yards as well as the more flamboyant stuff that we saw from his try in the first half. Here he is again.
I think from Sam's experience, he's very good at identifying when to carry, when to offload, and from an attacking sense, he seems to make that right decision most times.
Lowe unable to find any way through that. Try score it in the first half, of course, for the senior service. One of their 3 tries that we've seen thus far. Just looking to see whether Vakala Takali is ready to come back on. I think his 10 minutes is almost done.
That's a really good defensive set by the Navy there. They've, forced... by the RAF, they forced the Navy into kicking and got a charge down. But, there's 3 or 4 phases in and they were going backwards.
Well, it's Oatley going backwards at the moment into his 22. Wrigglesford gets the call from his vice-captain, Ben Chambers. Going to wandering towards this left flank. Duncan. Outed by his captain as the worst dressed and the worst trainer in the Navy when we had the launch at Twickenham, but as ever showing qualities that his captain will really enjoy. There is the captain. sets it up as the Navy looking to open the door, and they do, and it's Josh Williams who goes through. Josh Williams stretching, and no, he hasn't scored. It's a knock on. Well, all of his 6'7", 6'8" frame looked like it was over. His head was over the line, but unfortunately he couldn't get the ball to follow.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Great work by Sam Matavesi, great footwork, stood up 2 defenders, got on the outside of the second and you know, put Williams away. It showed actually a great turn of pace for a big man, and unfortunately probably got overexcited when he got close to the try line.
Did so well, so athletic on that burst through, and it looked like he couldn't be stopped. Vakala Takali is back on the park, so the Navy back to 15, the RAF still down to 14 at the moment, as Tam Lindsay comes on to replace Kai Beasley in the front row for the senior service, earning his second IS cap. Quite a story, Tam Lindsay, one of the under-23s, and as Dave Pascoe said to me yesterday, 4 years in the making, and it's good to see these younger servicemen, you know, being worked on as projects, for want of a better word, and now able to bear the dividends of that hard work.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you know, it's like before I was privileged to be appointed as head coach of the senior side, I was head coach of the under-23s, and for me there was projects within that I kind of worked on with my coaching group, and you know, you kind of reap your rewards. You get the opportunity to teach the young up and coming next generation of service rugby players good habits early. You know, not only just off-field stuff and how you look after yourself, how you prepare and how you approach games, but during games as well. Pass them on that knowledge, that experience, that when they get into the inter-services, nothing really changes. Terminology's the same, attitude needs to be the same, and no better way than to install that when they're young.
And as Pascoe told me, Tam Lindsay, one of the great characters that he's had. He's a real social animal that really keeps people happy and laughing. Looks like Morby's back on as well, so both teams back to 15 now.
And you know, that's important that you know, young players comes into a senior squad with a lot of experienced players, and you know you have a young player coming in, and then you have someone like Sam Matavesi at the total other end of the spectrum of all his experience and knowledge. And it's great that a young player can come in and feel comfortable in that environment, to be that social person.
And to be a part of the group, so that they feel they still have a voice, because you've seen it in so many teams, not just services but all over the place. They can sit in the corner and pretend they're not there if they're not valued, should we say.
100%, and if you're a member of the team, everyone should be able to have that voice. Everyone has a view and opinion. You know, there's sometimes some great ideas come from those inexperienced players.
Well, there's a more experienced player, Jess Lowe, earning his 4th inter-services, takes his team up. Good tackles come in, and the breakout is there for Toby Evans. Evans up to halfway. Oh, what a comeback tackle from Dobson, but still the RAF looking to make the most of this counter-attack. Ball goes loose, presentation is not what it might be, and the ref says play on, it's open play.
I think the RAF coaching team be a little bit disappointed with that. I thought there was a tackle there and an offside line set, so but you know, unfortunately, ball presentation, not particularly great, and from what was seeming a positive sort of like piece from Toby then, I definitely thought he was going to show a clean set of heels and go the length, but you know, it was a great chasing back
Dobson
by Dobson, and you know, great covering tackle, and then the scrambled defence, you know, really good by the Navy.
Kristen Dobson, try scorer in the first half, try saver in the second. And that was a big moment in the game, albeit just a quarter of an hour into this second half. Well, big moments in a big game. Of course, the RAF had their shirt presentation by Jonathan Thomas, the former Wales back rower, former Worcester Warriors head coach. He's done a few coaching jobs, I think, JT. But they, for some of these younger guys that are really inexperienced in this championship, the build-up has been so, well, not prolonged, but because they know the dates, but it's so important to realise how much is on these 3 games that they're playing over the course of the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, it's important, to plan your diary, to look at it with your warm-up fixtures, to make sure you get the balance right between being competitive and a bit of a confidence builder leading into those inter-service games. And then, you hope from a coaching perspective you've done all your prep work and you've given the players the tools and the structure in which to go out and perform.
Matavesi getting that extra width on the pass to try and open the door for Ben Chambers on this near side. Duncan, plenty of options to weigh up. Got, calls and gets, and hangs one up. Commits to it. Good work from Crowley. Stayed safe and committed under that high ball with Got right up in his ear.
There's never in any doubt with Ryan under the ball, and the great explosive power to get and rise above sort of like Jordan, and take that high ball is great. Secure the ball for his team and hopefully play territory now.
Well, the box kicks from the RAF have got to be shorter than that, because with the wind it's going to be an easy take for whoever's under it in dark blue. Jesse Lowe, impressive physical specimen, Jesse Lowe, isn't he? He's really got a presence about him in that midfield.
Yeah, he's explosive, he's powerful, but he's also got some really good soft skills as well. He's good offloads and an ability to read the game really good.
There's a man with plenty of soft and hard skills. Jared Haler once again breaking the line. Can't get it through, and there was just a blocking off there as the Navy couldn't sort out their attacking playbook.
I know, just that slight confusion there. I think when those lines are run, and from Jordan's perspective, clearly he's seen something on the outside, but unfortunately sometimes when those lines are run, whether they're the right or wrong line, you need to give it to that person, else you get the crossovers and the infringement. That's a great kick into the corner.
Jordan Oatley sending his team up into the Navy 22. That's important geographical advance there as subs start to be used off the benches. Both sides now, as we get towards the end of this third quarter, beginning to make changes. Mostly in the front row, Jonathan Taylor going off for the RAF. That brings Harry Challoner on. Just looking to see who else. I think Dom Cleverley now is on in the front row for the Dark Blues. Yes, there he is with the white scrum cap on in that line out. And the presentation of that line out just not quite accurate enough, but the ball's still there for the RAF.
Yeah, I think there's that slight confusion there. Great line out ball won by Josh, and it come down and it just bumped off someone. So that is just a process that's fallen slightly short, and I think just need that little, like we said, that little bit of control, and just everyone understanding and knowing what their jobs they need to do when the pressure's coming on, and the exhaustion's setting in now as well. With 20 minutes to go, people will be fatigued, but you need to heighten your senses more.
Manning, no need to heighten his senses because he always seems to have a full 80 minutes in him, but just not making the right call on that occasion.
No, I think the ref there obviously signalling over the top and sealing off, and that's just a frustration because the RF were getting into a pattern and getting into a process then, and it would have been nice to see another couple of phases and just test the Navy defence.
Royal Navy, number 7, Ben Mallet.
I was mentioning the jersey presentation. The Navy boys had their jerseys presented by Paralympic rower Peter Reid last night. Reid, an honorary captain in the Royal Navy, so again a very special moment for him and for them as set up for this particular match. Rhys Williams onto the park and in control of the ball straight away. Presumably means that Matavesi will revert to back row duties from now on. Call goes for the Navy for pulling down.
I thought Josh McNally done a great job then of working his way right through the middle of that maul, and I thought he'd done a fantastic job of getting through and making a complete mess of that, but was deemed to drag it down.
Just good to see McNally back in services colours, as I mentioned earlier. 2019 was the last time he wore the light blue, and having had that neck problem on New Year's Eve at Welford Road against Leicester Tigers, this really his first game, and he's already done an hour's work. So important for his services team now.
It's just the experience that he brings in these later stages when people are starting to get fatigued and are starting to perhaps not fulfill their roles within the side. It's just that little reminder by someone like him that picks you up again and reminds you what you should be doing and when you should be doing it.
Number 12, Jesse Lowe.
Now you see Jay Toogood in as the Navy feed now. There he is. Trying to up the ante now. Duncan slides past one tackle. Goes Matador on McNally for the next one. Cleverly.
I think defensively then you've seen, from Josh's perspective, how he read that and come out the line to force them into making a decision, which then, they held on and the kind of the threat on the outside was nullified then.
Turnover ball for the RAF. Again, Hayton gets his leg drive going. He's an impressive young man, Alex Hayton. Lamont feeds Crowley. Crowley has Evans outside him, but opts to go back inside. Well, once again, the RAF going into enemy territory. Can they try and execute something this time? Get some points on the board in this second half. Well, just as I praise Hayton, can't take that one clean in. It's Matavesi who comes away. Williams.
There's a great interplay again by Sam Matavesi, a great impact.
The drive from Rhys Williams. Oh, Manning. Just call him the Artful Dodger. How did he pickpocket that?
I'm not sure, but from Dave, it was a great turnover. I'm not sure the kick had the positive effect that he was hoping for as being straight out, but great turnover.
Well, we've had lots of messages coming through from you. Great to have you on board wherever you're watching this broadcast. Kath Brazier, who are we talking to now?
Well, I just want to bring you a couple of scores first. Julian Evans is in Aldershot watching the Army women, and they're on top 14-5 at half-time. Lou Dodd and Sarah Batley scoring tries there. And, of course, the Army make their foray into the tournament when we get to Twickenham. And also the Mariners won last night against the RAF Vultures 32-25. Sorry, you may have already mentioned
No, I haven't. And a certain Ben Priddy scored one of the key tries. And Gaz Evans, where's Gaz Evans? He's always here.
I thought he'd retired.
Well, no, he was playing for the Mariners, apparently.
Well, we've had a lot of support, like I said, from around the world, watching from the Flying Baguette, watching from his home in France.
Love it.
Yes. Paul Clark, huge hit by the machete. I'm not sure who he's referring to.
Seti the machete.
There you go.
Yeah.
Loving the Royal Navy start. He's watching from Germany. There's Reza, who's watching from the Philippines. We've got James Roberts' family watching from Worcestershire and South Wales. And also there was a hello from the South Wales Valley and people watching in Bangkok as well. So brilliant. I just want to message here as well. Tim, who's on the PA, is getting banter from his colleagues in the Falklands who can hear him over the live stream. That's our live stream, obviously. Can we get a shout out to SXO Fost, who is watching whilst on an exercise bike? He may not be on an exercise bike because that was about 45 minutes ago, but shout out to SXO Fost.
Well, you've had the shout out, so wherever you're joining us from, great to have your company this afternoon. great to see Gaz Evans and Ben Priddy back in action. Have you not been called up for Army Masters, or is that now you're civvy now, I suppose?
Now that I'm a civvy, definitely not. And once I finish playing for the Army Senior
Definitely
team,
not.
I think my body was in a little bit of a mess, so I chose not to because I don't think my body was up to it, if I'm being brutally honest.
No, wise man. McNally leaps high and turns and drives, trying to relieve this pressure now inside the RAF 22. You can see Dan Rutter now into the Navy backline, replacing Jesse Lowe. Dobson. Again, scrappy ball at the breakdown. The referee's allowed play to continue. Morby, former Oxford Blue, back in 2017. There he is, Sam Morby. Just finished his pilot training, so he's had his mind full of technical things, no doubt. Now trying to get back to rugby matters. Keir McDougall replicating his brother Ross, who of course was the scrum half back in 2018. Duncan, step and go, moving back into midfield. Vakala Tukali sets it back. Navy with big numbers out to the right and the width on it. God knows it. Williams, well, didn't get the ball away in time. Dobson rescues operations, but they've gone back a good 10, 15 metres or so. Still in possession. Cleverly, no way through there, but the Navy come once again. There's Toots. Great pick-up from Duncan. 27 minutes gone of this second half, and we've only had that one penalty early on from Jordan Gott to change the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's a totally different contrast from the start of the first half. So, I think they...
Matavesi on the burst. Matavesi, the man. Skinning one, skinning two. Brought down just short. Navy arrive. Oh, pass just again deflected. And the referee says play on. And Will Lamont says, yes, I'll take that. Thank you, sir. The breakaway, the switch. Yeah, he said, well, the whistle didn't go, so I played it. And Major Ian Kai says, tries a good one. What do you make of that?
Again, a great finish. I'm not sure that Lamont wanted to do the full 80. He slowed up just outside his own 22 and then realised it was an opportunity. You know, there was no infringement, nothing deemed from the referee, and he played on. And again, it comes from an error from the Navy, and both sides, although there's errors being made, both sides are capitalising on it, and it's just now, it's the game's come alive. You were just saying then, Simon, about the first half and the second half, and we're 28 minutes in, and there's been no score. I said, and now we've got 80 metres with Lamont scoring a great try.
Well, Lamont would have presumably preferred to have a surfboard under his feet than the turf. That's his normal vocation, but my goodness me, that was a swing, wasn't it? Just when it looked like Matavesi was going to take the Navy over the try line again, we go back 90 metres up the other end, and here is Jordan Oatley looking to add another two. Good kick from the young 10. So,
I'm sure that Lamont would swap his surfboard for a try at inter-services. But yeah, now it's game on. Coming into the last sort of like 11, 12 minutes of the game, what we know, we 25-21?
25-21.
Really exciting, final sort of like 10 minutes.
Well, it was a tight one last year. Those of you that were with us last year, 13 all, of course, the first match in the IS 2023. And this one looks like it could be a tasty finish as well.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's now changed the complex of the game from, like you said, do a great break from Sam to then be behind your own post will be immensely frustrating. Just from the RAF's perspective now, it's all about that game management, playing the right areas, don't overplay, and you've seen a great kick then.
Jake Hanley into the mix. I think he's come on for Craig Duncan, fullback for fullback.
Going to say that was a really good exit then from Craig Duncan into the breeze. Get to your own 10-metre line.
Well, Craig Duncan is still on the park. He's playing on the left wing, so I'm guessing Ben Chambers has gone on the right wing. So it's Kristen Dobson, I think, that's gone off as the RAF tried to wind things up in midfield, dent that blue line a bit more. Zach Taylor, PTI, so a fit man, former Gloucester under-20s, came up through the Gloucester ranks. Fullback Crowley, of course, has been a regular 13 for the services and, of course, for Henley Hawks as well. No problems there for Dan Rutter.
The idea was right, the execution. Probably need to find grass on opportunities like that. You need to find grass. You need to turn the Navy defensively, let them chase back, and then kick when they're on the back foot. That was an easy catch, a mark.
Oatley recovers things. Both teams now trying to use the boot to set up position, but it's advantage RAF from that little foray.
And I think you'll find that it was touched and taken back into the Navy 22, so Steam is going straight out, so then the RAF find themselves fortunately in the 22 with another attacking line-out.
4 points the difference on the scoreboard. Looking to see how the RAF are going to set up with Crowley now at outside centre, Morby his midfield compatriot inside. Ryan Pugh also on the park. There's the take at the line out though from the Navy. An important snaffle from the Dark Blues. Gott tries to put early width on it to release Duncan, and the sweeping left boot of the Welsh fullback does the rest.
Yeah, really good sort of intervention from the Navy then to turn over the line out in such a crucial area, because the RAF, clearly would have won that and looked for the catch and drive, which has been really impressive today. So nullified another threat and had the confidence to move it wide, and that's what they deemed, the space was, and made a touch.
On the charge comes Josh Peacock, just making his debut, so a special moment.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we've seen obviously infringement there in the midfield is crucial now. What decision do you make with 6 minutes to go? For me personally, I think made the right decision there, and keep the scoreboard ticking. You go, then it's a 1 point game.
Yep. Alex Stanley says Oatley's going to go for the post now. Interesting, I see Sam Matavesi, look, just urging his teammates to keep up the energy, to keep it going, because he knows now how tight this could be, especially if this sails between the uprights.
Yeah, and there's probably an element of frustration from Sam as well, because it was a penalty that probably shouldn't have been conceded, and when the players are getting fatigued and you're 74, 75 minutes into an inter-service game, that fatigue sets in, and you don't have a clear thought process sometimes, and make decisions that are quite rash, and an infringement, and an opportunity now for the RAF to make it that 1 point game.
Oatley slams it through. Immaculate kicking from the young fly half, 4 from 4 now, and so importantly, just 1 point between these two teams as we head to the final stages of this first match in this year's inter-services. Crowley steps out of the 22, and the unforced error not helping the light blues there.
No, you know, he had time, there was no pressure on him. Instead of running forward, just take a couple of steps back, sort of like, you know, set yourself, then go for the kick. And, you know, Ryan's got a really good right boot on him, and just a little bit of pressure, and just, yeah, take it off yourself. Relieve a little bit of pressure and make sure you execute.
Now, as the play continues, I'm going to ask you to make your player of the match thoughts known. I'm going to give you at least 30 seconds to think about it, so no rush. But, yeah, there's a few different options, I would think, from what you've seen so far as Dobson goes round the corner. There's Ben Chambers that's gone off on this near side, so Dobson's still in position. The little pop pass to Tam Lindsay. Lindsay sets up position, they've got numbers, the passing is not that good. The attempted drop goal by Dan Rutter doesn't achieve its aim, and they're going to go back. So yeah, no rush, but you've got 22 seconds. Penalty call is going to offer the Navy the chance to repair that 4-point buffer, because Jordan Gott is going to line up from in front of the sticks, but this is what, 30 metres into the wind.
Yeah, fortunately for Jordan, it is particularly straight on, just slightly off to the left hand side, and he had a testing one earlier with, you know, outside of the 15, and you know, it sailed just to the left, so hopefully we'll put this straight down the middle.
He's missed it. Flag stay down. Jordan Gott looks at the ground in despair, and 4 out of 7 for the senior service number 10 is not the sort of return that he nor Dave Pascoe, of course a very good kicker in his day, would expect from his fly half. So still just that slenderest of leads as Jared Hayler winds things up again. Too good. Tries to release Vakala Tukali again. At number 8, of course, in both of the games last season, but now onto the side of the breakaways, as it were. That's because that man has got the 8 shirt, and what an impact he's made. Dobson showing his considerable strength once again on that arcing run that's opened up the RAF line on more than one occasion this afternoon. Vakala Tukali sets it back for too good. Gott puts it into the captain's breadbasket.
That's the thing on the arching run, you know, from an RAF's perspective, they've still got to keep moving forward defensively and not allow the Navy that territorial gain.
Yeah, the realignment is difficult then from a defensive standpoint, isn't it? Matavesi once again muscles his way up. The call is there. Well, this will be a simpler option, you would think. As we're going to get set here, Mal Roberts, former Army coach, captain and legend. Who is your player of the match? Who's in the frame?
Well, I was going to say, you know, you've got the obvious candidates from the Navy. You know, you've got Sam Matavesi, Jared, Duncan at 15. You know, all the boys have some really good performances and been standout for the Navy side. And in the RAF, you know, you've got Ryan that's played particularly well, Ryan Crowley, Josh McNally, Dave Manning. But this individual for me is in his early stages of his inter-service career. We said about pressure, we said about halfbacks, and we said about, you know, will they be able to perform under pressure? And for me, my man of the match today is Jordan Otley. I think he's kicked particularly well under pressure. You know, we're 4 from 4, and as we say, you know, in contrast to Jordan Gott, that last year's inter-services was a point of difference at Army Navy. This year he's missed 4 from 8. So, you know, yeah, for me, it's the young lad Jordan
Otley. Well, very good nomination, and well, right on cue, Jordan Gott is unable to secure those points from what was an eminently kickable position, and we're going to go right to the wire on this. Ramakita gets the offload into Gott. Jared Haylett again doing those hard yards, the dab through from Rutter. Oatley anticipates, manages to keep himself in the 22. Rutter with plenty of time to scan the options. Not the best of kicks, and it's going to be advantage RAF.
Yeah, and you know, go back to my point earlier when Ryan sort of like rushed his kick ever so slightly, you know, and like I said, sometimes with inexperience into service and exuberance of youth, but you know, ironically, I named Oakley as man of the match, and he calmed himself. He took a couple of paces back into his own 22, and then placed the kick deep into the Navy territory and go, you played yourself out, and you know, unforced error, and now they've got an attacking line out on the Navy 10-metre line.
Yeah, the RAF number 10 definitely winning the Battle of the Jordans at fly half. But at the moment, it's Gott's team who just have their noses in front. As I say, I've got no match clock in front of me, so it'll be interesting to see now how these teams work towards that full-time whistle. Evans tries to come in and be the conduit. They're knocked forward from Ramakita, yes. Referee just checks his watch. There's a few nerves in the stands, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and you know, I think the tackle there from Ramakita, I think there was an arm in the tackle, and clearly scrummed down, and this is probably the last roll of the dice now. But there's no need to panic. Just, you know, from me, from an RAF perspective, you just need to hit midfield, go with the flow, get your forwards around the corner, try to create a little bit of pressure, narrow the Navy up defensively, and just keep working the phases and hope for an infringement. And you know, the kicking form that young Otley's in today, I would back him to put it between the uprights to seal a really good inter-service win.
You just get the feeling there's going to be one opportunity either way, isn't there, before that full-time whistle goes. It's been that sort of match.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I must admit, you know, in the start of the second half, it was deemed a little bit not the high-scoring start that we had in the first half, but it's been a really exciting game, and you know, it's end-to-end stuff, and both sides are full of endeavour, and you know, there's been some really good quality rugby on show today.
Yeah, it certainly has been a great start to this year's inter-services. Just to remind you, if you're not aware, the next game comes up in a fortnight at Twickenham, which is the Army-Navy game. And then the final game will be the Army against the RAF at Kingsholm the following week. So slightly different setup this season.
Yeah, no, different format. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out, because, you know, it's a different mindset, different approach. You know, Army Navy at Twickenham, irrespective of who's won the tournament, and the RAF did a few years ago, is always that combination of lifting the trophy, going up the Twickenham steps. So, yeah, it'll add a different dynamic to the tournament.
RAF won 2 of the last 7 inter-services championships, 2015 and 2018, of course. Navy, the defending champions this year. No way through for Prescott there. McDougall trying to keep things going, trying to up the ante at the right time. Oatley to Crowley, but Crowley can't take it. All eyes on the referee. That's it. Full-time whistle goes. Jared Haylor jumps for joy because his team have just about held on to the win in the opener of this game. And what a match we've seen. The Royal Navy with a lion's share of 49 points. Matt Roberts.
Yeah, no, really, like I said, a really good game for the opening game of the inter-service campaign for 24, and you know, a great advocate for services rugby, and it just proves the quality that are within the all three services of young men and women that are playing rugby, and yeah, it's a great advocate for services rugby. You know, there will be frustrations from both Dave Pascoe and Justin Coleman, but you know, I think for me, being a neutral is great. A great game of rugby and a great advocate for services rugby, and yeah, no, really looking forward to the rest of the campaign.
And for the 1,715 people here, it's been great entertainment. I mean, not knowing who was going to win right up until that full-time whistle, it's had everything that a sporting contest could deliver.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you look at it now, and you know, if you rewind 10 years, I wouldn't say it was ever a foregone conclusion, but it's now a genuine three-way competition.
Yeah, and you need it. The Inter-Services Championship needs it as it looks to increase its profile in Civiland. It needs those question marks in each contest.
100%, and you know, it is that genuine contest, and you know, anyone on their day can win the inter-services title, and it's important for a number of reasons, mainly for recruiting, retention, but also to put services on show in another light other than doing their day job. You know, this is the secondary duty. This is something that you do on top of their day jobs, which is, as a military, as the force is getting smaller, the day jobs are getting more demanding, so it's then those pressures of going away from your day job and doing the secondary duties, and you know, having been there myself and done it as a secondary duty is commendable to all involved, not just coaches, backroom staff, players, but all involved, that they do that and do that secondary duty, because it's important.
Does it raise the importance then on what you've just said? Raise the importance for each man out there, and the women, of course, that are following later on, to get that balance within their lives?
Yeah, it is. It's important because you know, I alluded to them. We go on about the retention and recruiting and services, and this is part of the offer. This is part of, I wouldn't say why some people may stay or may join, but it's definitely a factor, and you know, the services go on about the offer, and this is part of that offer, and you know, there are certain people that would join to do this purely, and you know, you have got to do your day job as well, unless you're fortunate enough to be in a position that Josh McNally and Sam Matavesi, where they're full-time professionals and go with the blessing of the services to do that, but no, like I said, it's important to get that balance. But also understand, you know, the demands that are on the ladies and the gents to do those secondary duties, because it involves hours outside of working hours in which to do perhaps the stuff that you're passionate about, i.e. the rugby.
Well, as we get minds focused back onto this inter-services, Tim Osman, no doubt watching this broadcast now, what will he have made of the first 80 minutes that he's seen?
It's difficult, you know, like I said, there was some errors made by both sides. I think, you know, if I kind of put myself in Tim's position, looking defensively, and the Navy are quite narrow, that would perhaps be one that I would look at.
Okay, well, here's some more thoughts on that in a minute, because Kath Brazier is down with our player of the match, Jordan Oatley, over down to pitch side. Kath?
Yeah, we'll talk to you quickly. Okay, Jordan Oatley, congratulations, you got man of the match, but I know it must be disappointing in a losing cause.
Yeah, it's just gutting to lose a game like that. We fought the whole time, and I honestly thought we were going to pip him at the end. Obviously, they missed a few opportunities to clinch it at the end, and I thought we were building there to another opportunity to take away some points. So it's just gutting after last year as well, being very close to beating them, so just gutting.
I know it was a draw last year, and this year just 1 point in it, but you must be so proud of that second half performance in particular, because you got so close.
Yeah, I mean, we stuck in it. It's a one-off game in it, you want to win. So yeah, gutted we didn't manage to finish it, but yeah, that's all I can say. Just gutted at the moment.
I know it's too early now to talk about looking ahead all the way up to Gloucester, but you've got to go again against the Army. Will that performance given you a lot of confidence?
100%, and I think a lot of the boys, we didn't even really get firing today. Nothing really stuck as we would have liked it to, and we know we've got more than that. We've been quietly confident all year with the group of boys that we've got, so we're looking forward to taking it to Gloucester. I mean, it'll be the last game after the Army Navy, so you never know, we might be able to cause an upset to finish.
Okay, well, Jordan, congratulations. I'm sorry for you for the loss, but by 1 point. But congratulations to a man of match performance. Go and join your friends now. We're going to speak to Jared. Thank you very much. Jared, Prickly, come in. Thank you very much. And, well, yes, I'm well, and you must be, well, relieved is probably a good word to start with.
Yeah, we tried our hardest to throw it away, but like I just said to the lads and the staff in there, that it was a complete squad effort today. We couldn't have done it with every single one of them, not only sort of the 15 and the 23 that's at the field, but absolutely everyone who's involved. It was brilliant, and I'd just like to take this moment to thank everyone who's watching, everyone up in the stadium, to make it a big day for us, and thankfully it was a win today, which is great.
I mean, yeah, some would say that this is home advantage for you. It's your stomping ground. You've obviously got stars like Sam who've come back in, and you had a number of players like yourself who made a real impact. But that second half was tough.
Oh, really tough. I think we're sort of looking at Brickfields, we're making a fortress, and with the history of the Navy in Plymouth, it's absolutely brilliant. Having Sammy, I mean, you could just see he's world-class talent, so that's brilliant to have. But it was a 15-man effort today. We'll put our bodies on the line, like we said before. Unfortunately, we did it.
Jared, congratulations. We'll see you at Twickenham, and well done against Win, 25-24.
Thank you. See you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
Gentlemen, show your appreciation for today's presentation team. Vice Admiral Andrew Burns, the R&RU President, and Air Marshal Harv Smith, the RAF RU President, and Mr. Gary McKay, Managing Director, Road and Schwartz UK, who are today's UK match.
So a relieved Royal Navy captain Jared Hayler as we set up the presentation party with the Worrell Wakefield Trophy. The President of the Royal Navy Rugby Union, Fleet Commander Admiral Andrew Smith, and his opposite number Air Marshal Harv Smith. For the RAF, Gary Mackay, the MD of Road Schwartz UK, the match sponsors this afternoon. Also there as the officials step forward. It has been a wonderful start. This is from me, neutral Civvy Street, coming in as I'm privileged to do every year. That was a great start because, as you said, we are seeing two teams that could win it, and we'll add the British Army into it when we see them in a fortnight, no doubt. But it's just good to see that competitive element there. Both teams in their way will be disappointed, but both teams will have a lot to take from that first 80 minutes.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you remove a few basic errors on both sides, that would have been a really, really good top-end National League performance. And for me, I think both sides can take confidence of that. And clearly, there's stuff to work on, but there'll be continuous things to work on. Because if you think you're complete as a side, then you probably should be still playing a game, because you've got to look for edges, you've got to look for improvement across the board every single time you either take the training park or the playing field. So, yeah, both sides would be content with that. I think probably Dave more so than Justin, because clearly they got the result. The result was on the right side of that, but I think from Justin, I think it shows the strides that have been made by the RAF over the last 4 to 5 seasons, maybe 6, that they've now got a side that's competitive for 80 minutes. They've now got a side that has a genuine, potential to win inter-services, as they have done. And that just adds value to the inter-service competition. It makes it competitive, it makes it interesting, it makes it, put it back on if it was ever off the rugby calendar, on the rugby calendar as three genuine, really good competitive fixtures.
Well, it's all about the profile, isn't it? Certainly from seeing outside the services, you want to see a contest that you want to watch, ultimately. And that's, I'm sure we will get the same in a fortnight at Twickenham when the Army make their bow in this year's tournament. And, with the memories of what happened last year, that is going to be a fascinating contest between two teams who both believe that they can lift the trophy.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, I alluded to it earlier before the presentation where I said, it's a different format this year. It's something clearly the Army are going to go into their first inter-service game at Twickenham, which is unique in the whole...
How does that change things, man?
It's unique in the whole sort of like setup and how you approach the game, because there's always Army Navy is always a culmination, irrespective of who wins inter-service, is always a culmination at Twickenham where, the RAF were invited the year that they won it and walked up the steps and lifted the trophy. And I think, that's not going to be the case this year. And normally both sides at Twickenham have had a warm-up game, have had a game at inter-service level against the RAF prior to the Army Navy at Twickenham, and you iron out then some of your potential areas that you had concerns with in that first inter-service fixture, and you approach it in a slightly different manner where your combinations are tried and tested. You have confidence. It's an environment that's quite intense, but you've already got the your first inter-service game off your back, so you're then going into it one under your belt.
Yeah, it's going to be a different year, no question about that. And of course, the Army, the only team that is going to have the 7-day turnaround as Jared Hayler takes receipt of the Royal Wakefield Trophy. A delighted senior service outfit, a disappointed RAF team, but they have got plenty of ticks in boxes through the course of the first match. Thanks to Mal Roberts for your company this afternoon. Don't forget to join us at 3:45 when we will begin to set up the Navy against the RAF women's match, which kicks off at 4 o'clock. Thank you for your company wherever you are in the world watching with us today on Forces News YouTube, BFBS TV or Rugby Pass. Great to get this season's campaign underway. It's been a compelling first 80 minutes. The Navy taking the lion's share of 49 points. The first score on the board. It's the Royal Navy 25, the RAF 24. It's good afternoon from Brickfields in Plymouth.
Catch every kick.
That is an almighty hit.
Every big tackle.
They go again and they're over.
Every scoring try.
Courtney Burslove, she cannot stop scoring.
Every unforgettable moment.
The trophy in Navy possession.
The 2024 Inter-Services Rugby Championship.
Everything in the inter-services garden is blooming red.
Live on Forces News YouTube and BFBS.